what's your biggest question for the Sacramento Kings this season?
I mean, there's still two sides of the ball. You know what I
Ah,
mean? Like, it's the defense. We do kind of forget, because their second half surge last season, was spotlighted the way it was with good reason, and then followed by the playoff berth, followed by pushing the Warriors. That the narrative of like the Kings being awful defensively did fall by the wayside a bit. It didn't necessarily change. There were moments in the playoffs where you saw what they could be defensively. But, Mike Brown in year two, his staff, his system, you would think and hope for their sake that it improves defensively. But in terms of personnel, you look at it and it's, I don't think Nerlens Noel is, maybe going to help here and there, but that's not a fixer in terms of rim defense, length, and versatility on the wings. Harrison Barnes, I like the contract. I like them bringing him back. But, he is a year older and defensively all the way up and down the line. I mean, De'Aaron, for example, in the playoffs, it was so much fun to watch him get after it defensively. But, you can't kid yourself. Like, he's not doing that for 82 games. He just can't. So that to me is the biggest thing. It does make me think, though, about something that I think it was Wes Wilcox who had shared this with me because he worked with Mike in Cleveland, was the general idea. You know what? I apologize. This was Monty talking about the head coaches he had been around, that year 2, year 3, year 4, that we don't talk a lot about the evolution of coaching staffs and the impact that they have on their group. That, having a year under your belt is a big deal. Mike D'Antoni in Houston, got better the longer he was there. Now Mike was a veteran coach by the time he got to Houston, had done a lot, but, just being around those players another year and those humans and having more trust and more connectivity, I think matters too. So the defense, though, is the biggest question.
The most bizarre King stat from last year, their defensive rating on the road was 8th in the NBA. At home, 29th.
Right.
It's bizarre to me. I don't know how to even explain that. Like, it
was so weird for them to have the locals like content with them. They let their guard down.
I don't know. They get caught up in the moment, trying to hit shots. It's such a weird thing to think about. I'm curious if they can make a bit of a jump in year 2. And they don't even have to make a crazy jump, I don't think, either. I mean, Denver was 15th in defensive rating last season. They won the championship.
And we keep going back to that continuity and how the league is kind of leading in that direction or all moving in that direction. And you look at this team build together, this, Sam. It's like if you can create this team defense that knows how to make things work together. Sure, there's going to be matchups that are hell for you when it comes to a big or a team that their shooting abilities just like out of this world. But at the same time, there's something to being able to build that together, to trust each other, that can really come together and hopefully push them to more of the middle of the pack this season.
Well, and that's where it's going to have to be. Like that team defense reference, Morgan, reminds me of, we talked earlier about Daryl Morey and the Kevin McHale thing. In that same McHale interview, he actually talked about Larry Bird as a team defender and was comparing Larry to James and making the point that James could be a good team defender. He just chooses not to be. Larry was a good team defender. The Kevin Herters of the world. I mean, Harrison is not a lockdown individual defender. He's mostly a team defender. Like that across the board, more of that from Mike and his staff, and then again, figuring out the delegation of duties with the backcourt, I think is tricky because, Fox as the head of the Snake defensively was such a good look in the playoffs. I don't know how you replicate that in the regular season to kind of load manage because you're just going to have to. But we'll see. I think, like you hit it earlier, they don't have to be top 10. Try to get in the top 20. Where did they finish last year overall?
24th.
24. Yeah. I mean, if you're being realistic, if you're Mike Brown, you're saying, I mean, if you're getting aggressive, you say, let's get top 15, but truthfully, like top 18, just because that offense is going to be dynamic. And De'Aaron, and I'd be shocked if I'm wrong about this. Like, I just don't know how I'm not saying he has to play like he did in the playoffs every night, but I think he's going to come back a different person, a different player. Because, we can't forget how last season around this time, he entered facing so many questions about his competitive spirit, about, is he worthy of the contract? Is he a franchise centerpiece? And, for him to go out and answer those questions the way he did, I think the momentum will probably continue there too.